giving it to me a little bit differently, but if he actually did say that.
It's crazy how well this video of you talking about ICE from 7 years ago hasn't aged.
And I did not speak out.
Yeah,
First they came for the communists.
I did this, I wrote this piece in 2018.
And I did not speak out, because I was not a communist.
ICE is Gestapo, a state-sponsored law enforcement division created to wreak havoc in our communities, separate families, and punish people, well, overwhelmingly people of color, for the crime of wanting to pursue the American dream.
When you commit a crime against this country, enter the country illegally, you should be worried.
ICE terrorizes your neighbors with its indiscriminate exercise of force and has less to do with violent criminal apprehension than ever before. You don't target jaywalkers when you're trying to end violent crime, so why do ICE targets range from teenagers in middle school to little girls with cerebral palsy on their way to the hospital? And no, I didn't misspeak. ICE literally apprehended a child with cerebral palsy.
A 10-year-old girl with cerebral palsy faces deportation after her ambulance was stopped at an immigration checkpoint while on her way to get emergency surgery.
Do you feel safe? I feel much safer knowing that this criminal is getting deported.
Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist.
And it doesn't end there. Just look at Long Island, for example. Remember at his State of the Union where Trump made it seem like Long Island had been overtaken by Salvadorian murder gangs raping and killing indiscriminately? And by the way, MS-13 has been responsible for a high number of murders in the area, I will admit that. And violent criminals and gang members who are here illegally should absolutely be deported. However, ICE has used this statistic and Trump's constant fear-mongering to justify what The Intercept calls the new school to deportation pipeline. Now, in the Long Island school system, undocumented minors are not protected by the law, and they can be reported for insanely trivial things like a scribble on a notebook or for wearing a Lady Gaga
lib. I mean, dude, like, once they fucking carry out their penalty for their crime, yeah, it's fine to fucking deport someone. As long as justice is served. What are we talking about? Like, if you're MS-13 or if you've like raped someone and you go to fucking prison after you go through the court system, like, or even if there is like any sort of process where they think like there's a real assurance, like once due process takes place, I don't have an issue with that. But there's a difference between that and whatever the fuck this administration is doing. This is also the other side of this argument, right? Whenever we talk about borders, like when people go, oh, well, a nation without border is not a nation at all, or like, oh, you want open borders. There's no such thing as fucking open borders, okay? It's not like that at all. Freedom of travel actually makes this process expeditious and less likely to be in any way, shape, or form controlled by, the black market. Like, I want people that want to come into the United States of America to be able to come into the United States of America with proper background checks and no silly fucking restrictions. Oh my God, I'm effing again. That's awesome. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my internet today. Oh my Lord, the internet today is so cooked. What the fuck? Okay, it should be back. Okay. You suck, Hasan, your future girl says. Tier 1, previously subscribed. Your future girl. You suck, Hasan. You're not my future girl. Anyway. The point I was making earlier is that I want there to be a safe and easy method of travel, a safe and easy way for people to get gainful employment inside of the United States of America. Okay? That is the appropriate measure to take here. I want the people that are here that don't have don't have American citizenship that have been here for years on end working for pennies on the dollar to get the proper documentation. I understand immigration for what it actually is. It's paperwork. It's a paperwork crime. Okay? And I think the penalty for a paperwork crime should match the actual severity of the crime itself, the harm. And there is no harm for people that come here to seek out a better life, to get gainful employment. It's fucking ridiculous. It makes no sense.
T-shirt, which no one should be punished for. Lady Gaga's great. And if you're not documented yet, even if you're waiting on your green card to arrive, you basically have no rights.
Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist.
And ICE not only deports children, which is already incredibly inhumane, they also target immigrants who are involved in political advocacy. They detain activists for absolutely frivolous reasons. For example, citing a 10-year-old driving infraction, ICE arrested Eliseo Dorado, who is the husband of a sanctuary church leader in Colorado. Last year, ICE detained and threatened to immediately deport dreamer Daniela Vargas right after she spoke at a rally opposing a proposed state anti-immigration law. But what does the director of ICE, Thomas Homan, have to say about all this?
I'm enforcing laws that they've enacted. I'm enforcing laws that the president signed.
Except that's not exactly the case, because the authorities always enjoy a great deal of discretion over which laws are enforced and how severely. The laws and enforcement in the previous administration kept ICE in check, directing agents to steer clear of otherwise law-abiding residents, even if they were undocumented. So basically, grandma doesn't get the boot for a broken taillight because that shit is inhumane. Yet, even with those directives in place, the Obama administration still deported more people than Trump in his first year. But there's one area ICE has nearly tripled its enforcement on: non-criminal immigrants. Now, under these new directives, ICE happily targets low-hanging fruit, severely increasing the amount of legal permanent residents, since to a racist shitlord like Donald Trump, these are just numbers on the board.
Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew.
It doesn't matter if you're a law-abiding legal permanent resident. Even if you're here legally and ICE doesn't like your tone, or if you have a tiny smudge on your record, they will target you for deportation. It doesn't matter if you were brought here at the age of 1 and 29 years later your 5-year-old son is battling leukemia. ICE will first tell you you're not a priority when you submit an application for sanctuary, then they'll detain you years later. No one is safe. Community leaders and business owners of immigrant backgrounds are subjected to intense scrutiny and get detained. Even doctors aren't safe.
A doctor has been detained by ICE after living in the U.S. for nearly 40 years.
This guy escaped Poland at the age of 5 and was a legal permanent resident for 40 years. He was nabbed for 2 crimes committed in '92 when he stole property worth under $100, and then he broke property over $100, and the offenses were later expunged from his record anyway. But that didn't stop ICE from deporting him.
Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
Now, I know I'll be criticized up and down for this comparison I've made linking ICE to Gestapo, but it's one that you have to understand. Yes, ICE isn't rounding up immigrants to gas them to death, but that's not how the Gestapo started off either. We live in a time when ICE is actively trying to become a U.S. intelligence agency to get warrantless surveillance powers. History is riddled with examples of horrific, inhumane abuses perpetrated under the veil of following and enforcing the rule of law. Don't forget that Gestapo was also enforcing the laws of their land at that time. Laws of the land change with time and progress, and it's up to us to stand for that change we want to see. It's probably why Holocaust expert Robert Galatly described the Gestapo as a reactive organization, which was constructed within German society and whose functioning was structurally dependent on the continuing cooperation of German citizens. So if Americans want to stop our very own modern-day incarnation of the Gestapo, it's up to us to speak up. It's up to us to speak out and resist. I'm Hasan.
The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. The only trusted name in news, the Piker Broadcasting Service. If you want to know tomorrow's news today, is what I should have said in 2018 when I was covering it at the time. And I never stopped covering it. I kept covering it over and over again. Please go back to writing your shit, dog. Because whatever we got now is cooked. Wait, what? I think it's fine. I think I'm doing a fine job now. Open Presents, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Yeah, this shit was back in 2018, chat.
Piker.
This was back in February 12th, 2018. I thought this video was from a week ago at first. Not a word has changed. Scary watch in 2025. Bro had a vision. This is why I laugh whenever motherfuckers say, Hasan, you're, you've changed. And the people that say you've changed actually end up arriving at my conclusions from a long time ago, eventually. Okay? Buddy, tomorrow's news today is great. 2026 news in 2018 is wild. Yeah. Piker Broadcasting Service. If you want to know tomorrow's news today. You didn't change, you got popular. Take me back to the 500 viewer streams. Why the fuck? First of all, this account was created in 2021, following since 2023. So, judging by the information that I know of your background, something doesn't make sense. You've changed a little. This is also why it's stupid to compare you to Asmongold. You've been doing this forever and you actually studied political science? Yes. But it's not just that I studied political science. It's that I have a coherent and consistent worldview. I have a real vision for a better future. A lot of these guys don't. A lot of reactionaries don't. Even if reactionaries think that they have some sort of ideological consistency, that always changes. That vision always changes for people like that. They don't have this aspirational future that they want to move towards. Okay? And they can't really. Like the most maximalist version of this, like the most logically consistent, ideologically consistent reactionary is a fascist, right? Like an actual die-in-the-wool, straightforward, neo-Nazi fascist. Like that is, and even then you got Nick Fuentes, who is the representative of this kind of thing, and even he doesn't really have firm commitments to anything that he has claimed to be in support of. Hutch is a perfect example. His worldview changes along with whatever the Dem Party chooses. Exactly. You have liberals who do this kind of thing as well, and you certainly have Republicans who do this kind of thing as well. Especially Republicans, they do it way more frequently than liberals do.
Openly admitted,
Yeah, I mean, this is the comparison. That's why I always laugh when dumb fuck right wingers or even like dumb fuck centrists will be like, Hasan and Asmongold are two sides of the same coin. Meanwhile, this is Asmongold's worldview.
You openly admitted you never do research or read articles outside of Twitter. How can you shamelessly tell others to read more? I don't need to understand whatever article you want me to read. All I need to understand is human psychology and incentives. And incentives and human psychology are the deciding factors of how people will behave. I don't need to read your little special book or your Wikipedia article or anything else besides that.
Yeah, your viewers could turn on a stream from 2020 and get essentially the same exact coverage. You might be the most consistent commentator online. And the real reason why I'm probably one of the most consistent commentators online is because, unfortunately, the problems haven't changed. As a matter of fact, they've only gotten worse. So anytime I say, like, this is going to get worse, and then you watch it fucking 8 years later, you're like, oh my God, how did you nail it? All of the things that you said were going to happen are happening now, including, like in that previous video where I was talking about how ICE has grand aspirations to become a surveillance agency or play a more formative role in the surveillance apparatus of the government. That's here. That's here now, where they're using Stingray and Israeli technology to mass surveil the population. They got fucking Palantir. This is pre-AI. So the tech tools were not even available at the time, but they were still trying to do it. Not hard to predict. I know. I don't think this is like, listen, first of all, it's fine. Being a socialist in 1999 feels a lot more vindicating in 2026. They're unprincipled. I was calling what neocons were doing in early fascists. They said I was overreacting, but now look at us. Not hard to predict. I know, chatter. That's my point. My point is that I don't have like a special gift of foresight. I'm just applying what I have seen take place in the past to my predictions on what might come next. Okay? And as long as you have consistent principles, and you engage in dialectical thinking, and you have the capacity for pattern recognition, you will be able to understand where society is going. Unfortunately, however, especially in this day and age, common sense is not so fucking common. So yeah, I'm not really reinventing the wheel when I say these sorts of things, or when I was saying these sorts of things in 2018, just like I'm not fucking, just like I'm not reinventing the wheel right now, right? And yet, you see how some people react to this commentary even now. So many people who reflexively go, fuck you, you're fucking bad, you're stupid, you're a commie, you hate America. You think they didn't say that back then? Of course they did. They were saying the exact same shit. Maybe a much smaller group of people were saying that because I wasn't as popular as I am now. But that's it. Probably your biggest L is that you, like most, assumed America is the exception and won't fall apart and reform will come. No, that's not true. There is me trying to hemorrhage, or there's me trying to put a fucking Band-Aid or gauze on a gaping wound, which is what my commentary is when I talk about like changing the current duopoly structure into one that is more beneficial, okay? One that's more beneficial for organizing, versus what I think is going to happen. Your commentary isn't even remotely radical to others who consistently call out justice. Yes, but the only difference there is that I think I have been able to get this commentary in front of many more eyeballs than ever before, partially due to the internet. That's it. I'm not a unique person at all. However, you see how this works. You see how when a popular figure, a popular commentator on the internet is met with like so much fucking enmity, so much hatred for maintaining a consistent position, constantly with people surrounding him. Constantly there are people all around me that just say, you're wrong. I don't want to hear it. I want to shoot the messenger instead. And I'm going to look for reasons as to why I shouldn't listen to you. I'm not going to take your message. I'm not going to learn what you are saying. I'm not going to be charitable to what you have to say. I am going to simply go, there must be a good reason for why I shouldn't listen to this person. And I will go to anyone that will tell me that this guy ain't shit. People basically fucking hit themselves with a fucking blunt object over and over again by watching slop tubers who tell them to whisper sweet nothings in their ear about how, yeah, no, this guy ain't shit. He's fucking stupid, dog. I don't have any qualifications to say this, but I can repeat the Reddit, the Redditors that have figured out a way to disparage this person. Just don't listen to him at all. He's rich. He's a rich socialist. Don't listen to him. He's hypocritical. He's fucking bad. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's an evil guy. He's an evil guy, over and over again. And if there's a steady cycle of, if there is a steady flow of slop that keeps flowing, you never actually have to go to the other side and encounter what I have to say sincerely or with any sort of charitability whatsoever, especially because the industry that I'm in is dominated by self-interested, narcissistic multimillionaires who will take their own personal resentments and personal anger out on others who have at any given point called them out for something, even if they've done it in a gentle manner. I happen to be the contrary to what the people in my chat tell me all the time, where I'm not being ruthless enough to my fucking ideological enemies or whatever. I actually try to do that in the best way possible, in the gentlest way possible. And yet any kind of pushback is met with so much anger, so much resentment, so much enmity.
You openly admitted you never do research or read articles outside of Twitter. How can you shamelessly tell others to read more? I don't need to understand whatever article you want me to read. All I need to understand is human psychology and incentives. And incentives and human psychology are the deciding factors of how people will behave. I don't need to read your little special book or your Wikipedia article or anything else besides that. None of that stuff matters. What matters fundamentally is how do people act, how do people think, and how do people respond to incentives.
So fucking stupid. First of all, this is just a defense of anti-intellectualism. Okay? This is anti-intellectualism masquerading as like some sort of understanding of humanity. Like, oh, this is my philosophical approach. It's like, no, it's not. You need to do both. Okay? Understanding incentives and understanding humans is essential to doing analysis, but without any sort of factually accurate reporting, your analysis is always going to fall short. Of course, when you're on the right, you don't have to care about any of those things, and you can say, my feelings are what matter. My ignorance actually is more important than your knowledge. My feelings are more important than your facts. Okay? And you can, as long as you have a big enough platform, as long as you have a lot of other people backing you because you're, again, whispering sweet nothings into their ear about how this administration is actually awesome, okay? Then, as long as the administration has some kind of base of support, either internationally, in the case of Asmongold, by a lot of right-wing Europeans, even though that's going to fall apart soon too, or you know, your neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or whatever the fuck, then you don't have to do the reading. You don't have to do it at all. You can just like repeat the same shit that you see on Twitter, which is ironic because for the longest time, my naysayers on the liberal side, the destinies of the world, claimed that I didn't actually do any fucking reading at all, and I was a dumb moron who doesn't know anything and inconsistent and hypocritical and only rely on Twitter posts for my commentary. And that's so funny because that's literally what Asmongold is doing. And Asmongold, as a matter of fact, was able to develop himself as a political commentator because of all the fucking disparaging nonsense that centrists and liberals and objective commentators in the slop tube sphere did to disparage someone like myself. What is this? Wait, what? 40K viewers and no comments almost? Viewbot or motherfucker? Did you think that because I paused the comments on the side of the screen that there are no comments happening in the chat? Yeah. For the longest time, my ops who presented themselves as like objective people, you know, like liberal centrists, and they tried to attack me as like a dangerous, scary person, constantly demanding, why aren't there others who are, you know, fighting back against Hasan and against the madness that he represents, all this like crazy wokeness, or you know, all this craziness that he represents with like socialism. It'll never happen. It's a dream. It's a scary one too. And there you have it. You built up someone. You built up an alternative. Now you hate it. Okay? Now you fucking hate it. And it's ironic because every single thing that they said about me falsely, even though I might not be the greatest orator or have the same level of confidence that comes from Dunning-Kruger, the stupidity that a lot of these people maintain, that gives them this like ridiculous confidence in behaving as though they're totally right when they're wrong, okay? Even though I might not have those things, I am very knowledgeable. I am very well read. This is something that I did study. This is something that I've been doing for many, many years. And also on top of that, I'm very consistent, right? That's why you can go back to videos from 2018 and see the exact same things that I was saying back then as I am now. Unfortunately, because things have not changed. And as a matter of fact, they've only gotten worse. I used to avoid political commentators, and I assumed Hasan was right-wing for some reason. Yeah, I was shadow banned on election night 2024. I still got 314,000 people in here tuning in to see what I had to say about the election. And yeah, yet I was shadow banned off the platform because a lot of these other guys who are liberals, who are centrist themselves, who are apolitical themselves, who now hate ICE and hate Donald Trump, by the way, and they did back then as well, spent every fucking waking moment leading up to the election trying to get me banned, trying to get me deplatformed before the election, working with congresspersons like Richie Torres, for example, who sent Amazon a sternly worded letter with a congressional letterhead demanding that I, as a dangerous left-wing figure, who was an anti-Semite because I was, daring to oppose the nation state of Israel and its genocide, was the real person that was the only person that should be deplatformed off of Twitch. Okay, you still are, by the way. Yeah, exactly, and that hasn't really stopped. I was fucking blacklisted. And yet I still was able to bring in 317,000 people tuning in to see what I had to say about the election. But just think about that. What do you think is going to happen in that process? Of course, people are going to go and seek out other alternatives if they can't find me on the fucking they can't find me on the main page on the night of the goddamn election. Thank you. Closed presents with 100 gifted subs and open presents with 100 gifted subs. God damn.
If you can understand that, then nothing else matters. It's pretty simple.
Anyway, it is pretty wild that he just openly says, like, I am not well read at all and I'm not interested in being well read at all. It's just common sense. Like, he's giving the game away. But unfortunately, for right-wingers, this is just how it works. Here's a journalist, Stephen Azark, saying, about a month or so back, I asked Asmongold fans to meet me in the real world to talk, but none of them took me up on the offer. Instead, I got hundreds of replies and messages saying I didn't understand him, how I should just watch his streams and not just the clips. So I did, and learned that Zach doesn't care. He will put on a video he doesn't understand the full context of and rant about it with extreme right-wing bias. It's vitriol for 6 hours straight, a handpicked selection of clips designed to invoke anger without critical thinking. I genuinely believe that there are people here for his gaming takes, and I'm so worried that they are getting radicalized by Twitch's most powerful and least researched streamer. It's crazy, but stupid sells. And it's not just that he's like foolishly spewing toxic bile. Okay. He also is followed by the vice president, or followed by Elon Musk, is in correspondence with Elon Musk. He's admitted directly that he is a regime propagandist that is having these sorts of conversations with people in positions of power. And that is the reason why I cover Asmongold. Even though people go, why do you cover Asmon? It's pointless. Motherfucker, the vice president is retweeting him. Okay? The real world is stupid as fuck, especially this administration. You're not talking about some random fucking loser who sits in filth. You're talking about a random fucking loser who sits in filth, who is in direct contact with Elon Musk, the most powerful person on the fucking planet, the wealthiest billionaire on the fucking planet, who is doing regime propaganda to a fairly sizable audience on a daily fucking basis, who's getting retweeted by the fucking vice president. I know he is repulsive. I know it annoys you when I cover him. I get it. You fancy yourself to be this heightened intellectual. Okay? You fancy yourself to be this heightened intellectual and you feel like this is dumb to do. The reality of the matter is people are dumb. And this kind of dumbass bullshit actually does numbers. Doesn't research, has never had a job, lives alone in a messy house, a multimillionaire from playing video games, has no academic background in human psychology, just gets angry at the world and blames his problems on others. Like, he is a more prominent fixture in right-wing commentary now than like Fox News is, at least for our age demographic, okay?